Welcome back, everyone, to the 2016 League of Legends World Championship here. We are ready and waiting for the final game of the series. One more game decides who is the best team in the world.
Game 5. Never been able to say this before at the World Finals, and what a treat for my first Worlds ever.
Right?
I've been absolutely loving it. We had such insane games in the semifinals when SKT and ROX Tigers fought off, and SKT obviously coming out on top there. But can they do it here against Samsung? I mean, I would have never thought it'd be so close.
Yeah, this has been an incredible just Worlds overall.
Yeah.
We saw a wildcard team make it out for the first time out of groups.
Yeah.
We saw
Historic.
Brazil make an upset over China, the number one
Chinese
seed.
team.
Like, everybody is kind of walking away from this, except for North America, with like some good takeaways here.
Yeah.
European team made the semifinals as well. So
Second year in a row.
it's actually incredible. And 2 of the series in the semis and the finals going 5 games. It's like pretty much what you could hope for from a tournament.
Absolutely agree. It's been a whole bunch of fun to watch. We've had so many amazing things happen. And even if you don't understand the scene, basically Korea wins everything all the time. 2 Korean teams in the final. And right, just thinking like, ooh, wow, you're at H2K, a team from Europe making the top 4. That is hard to do. I mean, top 4 at Worlds makes you incredible. It makes your run so impressive. It means you did a lot of really incredible things. And some of those players, it was their first time at Worlds, and they put up amazing performances to make it that far in. You mentioned a team, Albus Nox Luna, from one of the conventionally considered weakest regions you could have possibly considered, and they made top 8 at the World Championship. They beat out the number 1 team from Europe and the number 3 seed from North America and said, yep, that's going to be us. That's going to be, we're going to take that spot away. And it was really incredible to see, some of these happen, these major upsets.
Yeah, it's been so exciting. And honestly, I think the best part about it for me has been that it's about the level of play. These teams have deserved their wins. It's not cheesy wins. It's not these random strategies or whatever. They have been winning because these guys deserve to be here. And it's so impressive to see a team like Samsung, who everyone counted out, myself included. I didn't think that they would be able to go toe-to-toe with SKT. They weren't even supposed to make it to Worlds. They were supposed to lose to KT, who they had lost to 19 straight times, and then they beat them. And here they are on this miracle run to Game 5 of the World Finals. And they could do it.
They could do it.
And that's why it was so hard to gauge coming in, because so many factors had changed for them. But it's really kind of outlandish that it happens, where they start winning games after they sub in Core JJ in the gauntlet to make it here.
Yep.
Like the final matches against KT, people are like, oh, KT just played bad. Core JJ is not really like that good. How can somebody who transferred from the AD carry role end up being that good on support that fast? So, comes in, smashes, hadn't lost the game at Worlds until now. And now we're going to Game 5. Samsung, patch is good for them. We have a really good support for them now, and they seem to be a much better squad at the moment.
Their transformation has been amazing. Their route here was definitely incredible, right? The very first thing they did is come into what was considered the group of death, the number 1 team from North America, TSM. Many had them as a team that would make top 4 at Worlds because they looked so sharp. The number 2 team out of China, right? Royal Never Give Up, also a great team. Another expectation that they would make top 8, and they did, to be fair. But Samsung Galaxy beat everyone.
Samsung, top to bottom, Cubase has been around since 2015 when they reformed the roster. No success. Didn't make a playoffs until this split. Then you look at the jungle. Converted mid laner to jungle.
Right.
Is he going to do well? Mid laner. Played in Brazil. Did not have success in Brazil. And then the AD carry, it's like a rookie?
It goes on and on,
It goes
too.
on.
I mean, look at Core JJ, right? He was not even considered a top-tier player in North America, which is just objectively a weaker region than the LCK and then Korea. And, he was playing a different role. He was playing AD carry.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was playing AD carry when they got relegated. They got kicked out of the league because they were one of the lowest-placing teams, right?
Right.
And who would have thought that a player who gets relegated in a weaker league now goes and joins the strongest league and is now in the World Finals playing the best team ever
and about to win it, maybe.
And winning.
Right. I mean, an incredible run, absolutely. Everyone on Samsung Galaxy and SKT as well, to be fair, have been playing very well. But I want to highlight someone, Cuvee, who did Cuvee things. That Kennen top lane, he had the time to make the one-on-one plays. We got to highlight reel of this guy.
His flanks were so good, but also he played the matchup beautifully. If you flub this matchup, which is very possible to do, you're just out of the match. The Gnar will run all over you, but he gets a solo kill, and then from there, the teleports are on point.
Yeah, he has had incredible TPs. this one. There was another one later in the game where he completely turned around to fight on their topside jungle, and he has just been there when it mattered, time and time again for the team. And the beautiful thing is that he has the confidence to run it back in this matchup when it didn't go so well earlier, because he got picked on. This time, they made the adaptations. They protected him. They warded up. They spotted out the jungler, and they did not let him get taken out.
Yeah, definitely amazing play by him, and one of the big playmakers. And again, it's funny because one of the questions we had gotten during the game that I would brought up if we had time was someone had asked who's the most important player on the game, or the most important player per team, and it's hard to pick someone, actually, on Samsung Galaxy. Cuvée made the really flashy flank plays on Cannon. Ambition landed every smite and took all the objectives away. That was so much. And everyone else been putting in work for damage.
Yeah, and I think it changes from game to game, too, right? You could have a team where traditionally your top laner is the most important player, but then you could build a composition around your AD carry and have them playing a hyper carry marksman such as Jinx, right? And then it's all about protecting this guy. So that's one of the cool things about League of Legends, is if you have the flexibility among your team, you can shift from game to game and say, you know what, Cyrene, you have to carry this game, we'll protect you, or you know what, now it's going to be Freak that carries and we'll protect him. And I think that's really cool when you have that flexibility.
And we've seen that, especially from Samsung, where Ruler has been performing really well, and Crown at the same time has been able to go toe-to-toe against Faker in almost every game here. So it's those X factors that are popping up. Is Ambition getting those smite steals? Is Cuvée getting a solo kill in lane? Well, now he's the most important person because he's the one who has the advantage that lets you snowball. So that is what is really dictating it here. If you get a small advantage, where is it? What can we do with it? And where can we go with it? Because there are a lot of lanes that are going even right now.
Yeah. So we are into game 5. SKT's savior, Bengi, is back in the lineup. They brought in Blank for one, and it didn't look very pretty, so Bengi is back in. I think it makes sense. I didn't really like how well Blank played. Bengi was very clutch in the semifinal. He's always been able to pull it out before, so I think it is the right choice.
Hey, you gave him a game off.
Yeah.
Gave him a game to recharge.
I mean, it's tough, right? Like, I didn't think they should swap Blanket in the first place. I just think it's one of those things where, yes, they lost the game, but I didn't really think it was on Bengi. You know, the game that they swapped out Bengi after, he had an incredible early game on Elise. He was actually walking around smashing, getting way more than Ambition got done, and they still swap him out. And, you know, honestly, it's tough because, like, as far as, like, the mechanical play, it was mostly fine from Blank, except for maybe that one fight where he split off from his team by Baron. But he was completely undone by a pink ward.
Yep.
His whole early game was stifled. That let Cuvée go nuts in the top lane, too. And this is something where, as a coach, and as Bengi, I'm sure, sitting and watching your teammate and knowing that if he just A-moved and clicked and killed this one little ward, the game would be totally different.
Take a 3-second detour.
It's got to be so frustrating sitting back and watching that. That's probably a big part of why he's being swapped out.
Oh, yeah, and I also think it's decision-making.
Yeah.
Because right now, you're looking at a very high level of League of Legends play, and if Blank isn't able to have the decision-making where he's jumping into everybody and his team isn't able to actually do anything and they get flanked by Cuvée, it's like, bad decision. He's not even performing on a micro level either, where he's not checking all of the boxes and checking all the wards, whereas Bengi, his only problem was they came back in the game because they got some smite steals or they got some really good fights off it, but they still had a lead. SKT had leads in their games. They're losing from behind, or losing from ahead, because they're just letting it slip through their fingers. That's a team thing. That's a decision-making thing.
Right. Yeah, but it's the state we are in right now, where Bengi individually, maybe he's 2-1 up against Samsung as his own games are concerned, but that's not the important thing here. We're now on to our 5th and final one. The teams are all tied up. We've got one final game to go. The question is who's really going to prevail, and it's a hard one.
Yeah.
Samsung looked actually very convincing. Every single game almost has looked better for them at this point. Game 3 was a sweet comeback. Game 4 was control kind of the whole way through. And, yeah, you can say, oh, is that pink ward and those kinds of things, but everyone has seemed to get better as the series has gone on.
Yeah, and I think at this point for predictions, it's almost a coin flip, right? Like, who's going to show up in the individual game? And when it comes down to one game, both teams have shown that they can battle it out with each other. They have many players across these teams that have the ability to carry. And it's going to be who shows up on the biggest stage in the biggest game of probably most of these players' lives. And I think that's an incredible moment to be in, and it's going to mean that one player becomes a star and someone's going to become, like kind of that tragic figure where you could have done it, but you just messed up. And I think it's a tough position to be in, but it's also exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting, but it's incredibly tough. That pressure, we've even seen Faker crumble under that pressure. Yeah. MSI, 2-2 against EDG, and he says, lock me in LeBlanc. And they counterpick him. Right? He allows himself to get counterpicked, doesn't have to go through that, but he says, I want to carry the game. right? That's the pressure getting to him where he says, I need to take things into my own hands.
And it was that champion, to give some context, LeBlanc was a champion Figure had never lost on. 100% win rate. Unheard of.
Yeah.
Never lost a game on this champion. And this is not like 100% win rate, 2 games, right?
Yep.
This is like 20-something games or whatever it was, some ridiculous
It's like
number.
17 or
Yeah,
something
I think it was 17 and 0 on
There you go. So
LeBlanc.
he never lost a game, and they essentially kind of baited him into picking it. They left it up. No one left it up. It's like,
no one
what are
lets
you
him play
doing?
this.
Everyone bans this champion. They get him to pick it, but they win it with a plan. And I think having a plan and something can outsmart your opponents, can kind of put them in these difficult situations. And SKT has struggled with that. Even just the Zyra MF pick, the fact that Wolf has shown he can't play MF means they have to ban out or give up Zyra. And that's a big ticket pick. We've seen this champion massive priority, first pick. And the fact that they can't do that really kind of throws a wrench in the gears.
Well, also, Samsung are going to go back to the blue side for the final game, so they could first pick Zyra like they did in Game 1, or they force another ban to come out.
Yeah.
And we'll see what it's going to be. Samsung Galaxy had won the coin flip before the tournament, and they got themselves the choice of side in games 1, 3, and 5. Almost always teams pick blue side for themselves. The Syndra ban, to talk about champion pools, Syndra's another champion that Crown is unable to play. They've had to ban Syndra every single one of the games that they played as well, so you're seeing somewhat of a trade back and forth there, but either way, they're happy to ban it away, not play around it, and there you can see the SKT Zyra ban, knowing that they don't have the way to counterpick it.
Exactly. They have to do it, and these are advantages that cannot be overstated. It's one less powerful champion that they can take off the board. It's something that they are giving away simply through lack of proper preparation for this, and that's not something that you would ever really think about SKT.
There's an adaptation here. They're pinching the support champion pool, but there's also Jace still up right now. And Jace is a champion that has been banned multiple times.
But it's always been banned when Samsung Galaxy are on red side. When Jace is left up, SKT are basically willing to wait on their top lane pick and preserve a counter pick for that. Their final ban is Aurelion Sol here for SKT.
That's 2 picks that they should not have to ban, but they basically do because Samsung prepared better than them. Crown showed, I can play Aurelion Sol, you gotta ban it. They showed, hey, I can play MF, so you can't allow me to have Zyra, and you can't take Zyra because I will counter it. So this is incredible, and the preparation that Samsung has had is really paying off.
This is super good from Samsung because they picked the Olaf, and he has the ability to walk through all crowd control. You can't lock him down, and that's Ash's big thing, which is the first pick here from SKT, but they also take Victor away. So now there are effectively 4 champions taken away from the pool of Crown, so he has to dig deep.
Yeah.
He does have to dig deep. It's also worth pointing out, though, as you had mentioned a second ago, the support champion pool being pinched a little bit. Samsung Galaxy, survived that sort of trade back and forth. They said, we'd rather take Olaf. He's a huge, big-ticket jungler. We saw him very early on in the series. He's been banned basically ever since. SKT did not go to take away a support themselves. And in fact, Samsung Galaxy seem to not care about that either, as they're looking at a top laner and an AD carry for themselves.
They are.
Yeah, the Poppy top will most likely force a Trundle to come out. And there we go.
Tahm Kench for CoreJJ, a tank support.
And I love this pick because this is something that CoreJJ has done very well on in the past. And what is really unique about Tahm Kench is he can actually eat up an ally. He can also eat opponents, but it takes some preparation. You have to hit them 3 times. And eating the ally out of crowd control is so big. So Ash, what you want to do, we've talked about it. You shoot out that arrow, you stun up the guy, and now you pick him off.
Yep.
Guess what Tahm Kench does? You shoot out the arrow, you stun him up, he just eats them and runs them to safety, and it completely stops that pick.
Yeah, Tahm Kench, the armored personnel carrier of supports. And I mean, armored is truthfully a very durable champion. Again,
Certainly.
he's going to bring allies to safety, and it could look very good for him. And of course, the matchup's going to change here. You've now got a tank support on the one side, which means the pool of champions you want to play into that is going to differ as well. You see SKT occasionally hovering Taric, which would be one of those pretty good matchups.
Yeah, and honestly, Samsung has just drafted such a beefy team composition with the Poppy, that's tanky, and in the front line, Olaf is as well. So is the Tahm Kench. So they now have to draft a lot of damage because they need to be able to have enough to carry through these fights. And I think bring a ton of consistent damage from the mid lane. It's almost like an AP marksman, people kind of call it, because you can consistently, non-stop, be shooting out these Twin Fangs. It's this magic damage ability that deals a lot of consistent damage.
Yeah, Cassiopeia was previously banned by Samsung Galaxy on the blue side twice and then picked once on the red side for them, so they go back to it now because they see that it's the Victor and it's really just down the tier list of mid laners since 4 of them have been taken away. It's the one that he has left, and it's the high damage one you were talking about.
And now I really want to see if the Braum gets locked in, because if it does, we have an entirely different sort of context how the bottom lane is going to work. So far this series, we were seeing either mage or sort of supporty support, squishy backline, either focused on dealing a little bit of damage or shielding their opponents. Now you've got a Tahm Kench on the one side and what looks like a Braum on the other. They're much better at starting fights out and making kills happen, and the way you play around this changes a lot.
Yep, Braum, basically the quintessential defender, stands in front of you with a gigantic shield, and he can take the damage from whatever's coming at you. He can soak it up.
And it's really important because he takes not only reduced damage, but he can stand in front and block out things like the Jhin ultimate, right? Jhin pops up his ult and wants to do massive damage to your kind of squishy carries, and he stands in there with his big shield and reduces and negates most of that damage, so it's very, very strong. He also has a passive which is very unique, where if he does damage to someone, then your teammates can hit them, and once they've been hit 4 times, they actually get stunned, so it's a lot of extra CC.
What's the big thing about these tank supports is you're right that they're very good defenders, but they are also very good at securing kills. You mentioned a second ago that Tahm Kench can eat an opponent. Well, if you get those 2 seconds to hit somebody 3 times, you eat them and you bring them into danger. You drag someone else into what's almost guaranteed to be their own death. Braum can do similar things. He's got an ultimate as well as his passive, as well as one of his other active abilities to slow or stun or knock up or all 3 his opponents and set up kills. So there's going to be a lot of fire down there in the bottom lane, and I think it changes the context of how you play that matchup and that entire side of the map by quite a lot.
Certainly does, and it's also, I think, a lot riskier to take these fights because you can't just kind of poke back and forth. The fights can become very committed very quickly. You know, if you go in as Braum and you start fighting up against this Tahm Kench, he can eat you up and spit you backwards, and you can sometimes get committed to a fight that you didn't really want to take. So you have to be very careful picking and choosing your engages, because these guys can really make you fight to the death.
So here we go. Game 5 is afoot. The League of Legends 2016 World Championship is going to conclude with this game right here. Who's the best team in the world? Is it SK Telecom T1 in red, or is it Samsung Galaxy, the underdogs in blue, who no one thought they'd get this far? When they made the final, people said, well, they got an easy bracket. They got an easy quarterfinal. They got an easy semifinal. The real final was the other match that SKT played last weekend. Samsung Galaxy said no. They brought it to Game 5. They said, we are your equals. And with this game, they can prove that they are their betters.
30 seconds until minions
It's been such an incredible run from them, and
Absolutely.
I honestly can't believe that we're here in Game 5, and it's so exciting to know that we've made it this far, and really, it's just... I'm kind of at a loss for words.
Right.
It's just shocking. Like, no one expected Samsung to be here, and it's harder to understand how much it means if you have not watched the league for a long time, because SKT have just dominated forever. These guys, they have every time they make the World Finals, they win, right? And yes, they can still win tonight, but people never even challenge them. Usually they're 3-0ing, they're smashing 3-1 at worst, and it's been really close tonight.
Yeah, and a lot of people thought that Samsung Galaxy, like we've been talking about, didn't even deserve to be here. They weren't even the 3rd best team in Korea. Thought it was, KT, SKT, and ROX. They ended up getting in, and then they end up surprising over and over again. But at this point, there were some people who thought that this could happen, but to just give some context, if Samsung Galaxy win, we have a thing called Pick'em.
Oh, yeah.
Where you predict the
Predictive
outcome.
brackets.
Millions of people have done the Pick'em. 0 will be correct if Samsung Galaxy win this. Every single person who had done it would have not guessed correctly.
And no one would have had a perfect bracket throughout Worlds. We've already had so many upsets so far in the World Championship. You talk about teams making the quarterfinals, certain teams taking the top spots in their groups, which is something that H2K had done against one of the best teams in the world with Edward Gaming, but it's no longer about those spots. It's about this upset of the making right here. Samsung Galaxy in the blue into Game 5, which already is more than many had expected, but and with a nice bottom lane and the chance at winning it all.
It's so much about who can make the big play now. Who is going to be the guy to carry the game. And the start can mean so much, even just mentally. if your team gets that first blood, if it's Faker who gets a solo kill or Crown solo kills Faker, or really any of these big plays, if you can make that play for your team, it can kind of just catapult you towards a victory so much, because I do think that mentality is ridiculously important in these final games. You guys have been playing for hours and hours and hours with very few breaks.
Really nicely played by Crown. If he lands on the Q,
him
kill
here.
Faker. One more skill shot. He's got to land the Q. He lands
got it.
This could be a kill, but he's out of mana. Chases in. One more shot and
Poison.
Not going to be enough. Faker slinking away with his life, but a kill in the bottom lane. A gank already came through for Bengi, and it's first blood for SK Telecom.
And that's what we talked about. Crown outplaying Faker, almost got him, but in the end, Faker gets away, and it's first blood for SKT in the bot lane, and it's got to be such a bad feeling for Crown, just inches away from claiming that first blood for himself.
And Bengi on the Lee Sin, very early visit to the bottom lane and picks himself up a longsword. He's going aggressive. Faker no summoner spell.
And it's the Olaf looking for the
Oh, he
damage
got
up,
the stun.
but they're going to be able to get
One
the
more.
kill,
Ambition's
and
dead.
it will be a trade. Ambition's going to die, but that is still a positive trade for Samsung Galaxy. Still, it's Faker making the best of a bad situation.
Yeah, one of the big things to understand there. Oh, they're actually going for Crown here.
Wolf's coming too. This could be a kill on the
he's
Curse.
gone.
He's gone. There's nothing he can do about this one. That trade kill is in. Beautiful roam by SKT.
And this is the fast pace that SKT like to set, and that we've talked about, where if they can get the game out from underneath Samsung Galaxy super early on, then they can prevent a comeback. Right now, those summoner spells being down, we're going to see even more happen in that mid lane.
I mean, how about Bengi? This guy subs back in, and he's off to the races already. 1-0-1. He gets involved in the first blood in the bot lane. He goes and gets that kill in mid lane, and this is the dive that they were looking to set up in. Watch Faker drop the gravity field here, and Ambition just committed too much to that. So that zone that you see, if you stand in it for too long, you get stunned up, and with the turret shooting Ambition, it meant Faker got a return kill that he probably had no right to get.
Then this is great as well by Bengi. Flashing in, he lands the slow right there. There's nothing that can be dodged anymore, and it's all guaranteed at this point. Nicely played.
Yeah, they knew that Crown had no summoners from their earlier fight, so that was communicated across the team and allowed them to go for it.
These mid laners actually look angry. I was watching their position for the level 1. Faker was like 12 CS to 4. He's aggressively pushing. He's going for Raptors. He's just being super aggro. And then they blow all their summoner spells. He gets punished for it, but he got a trade there from Crown. And now everybody's coming to this mid lane. Everybody's going to be coming in here. And you have to be on point. If you start dying when these lanes are pushing towards you, or you are not ready for those ganks, then that could be the game there.
Certainly can, and with that Faker death under the turret, the kind of hidden story is that all the minions from the enemy team now die to the turret, and he doesn't get that experience, doesn't get that gold, and that's kind of what put him behind.
Well, it also gives him a really awkward death timer for Victor, where he doesn't have that 1,250 gold. He backs with about 700, and then he's able to buy like a Doran's ring and boots, and then a refillable potion on top of it. So he's just shy of it, but he has to buy something, so he comes back with that.
Completely suboptimal purchasing, but he has to buy something, so it delays the items that he wants even more. He's now just tracked Bengi running through his own jungle, and you can see the same play that Kuve wanted to do. Oh, doesn't get it quite in time. Duke's totally okay.
Yep, swing and a miss there. Not super impactful, but would have at least made Duke miss a couple CS, so definitely an edge you'd like to take if you can grab it, and so far, very close game. SKT does have those kills, but there has been a little bit of a farm edge over to Samsung, so it's been keeping it relatively close.
Let's see what the next part of the battles are. So both these top laners have used their summoner teleports to get back up to the top lane. They're buying some items. Pretty standard stuff on both these sides. The T-map for the Trundle allows him to start pushing much, much faster now than his opponent. And now, a bit of a trade up there. Ooh, okay, Bengi forced to jump away. Doesn't really lose too much for that escape.
Yeah, but this is something that I don't know if we've gone over before, but the jungle camps, you can see like little rook-looking pieces on them where they will be, for the buffs, they'll be yellow and gray. If they're gray, it's a minute. It's a minute before they... Ah, that's what it is.
It is
I figured it out.
yeah.
It's an hourglass.
Yep,
It's
here
a
to
timer.
learn too.
Oh, my God. It's like, it looks like a rook, right?
Yeah, it does.
It looks like an hourglass.
Yep.
So yeah, if it's gray, it has a minute, and if it's...
Yellow,
if it's
it's
yellow,
10
it's
seconds.
10 seconds. 15, I believe. 10
One of
seconds,
the
10 seconds, 10 seconds, and it counts down from there. So everybody sees that, though. Your enemies see it, even if they didn't see the camp go down. So everybody knows right now which side of the map Bengi and Ambition were both just on.
It's also key to note that you can't tell if the camp is gone yet until you see someone with that buff or until you do check it out.
Big fight down here, and Bengi trying to take away part of the jungle. Ambition trading back some damage. Looks like Bengi and Faker taking a fair bit of control over that side of the map, and look at that. A really nice trade. And keep in mind, Kube's teleport is down, so Duke winning a fight that hard makes life very difficult for Samsung's top laner.
Yeah, Kube made a pretty big mistake there. He actually tried to go back in and stun Duke against the wall, but since he just barely missed the wall, Duke didn't get stunned and massively won this trade. Kube was just hoping to pin him, hit him a little bit, then walk away and not take that damage, and instead, Duke gets a big trade.
Bengi puts another ward down. He can hop right back out, and he should be able to pretty quickly. Fights for the red buff, gets it away, and I don't know about this one. Has to flash to get out,
Crown
but now the snipes are there, and Crown's going to pick up that kill. You've got to believe it. The poison, and actually, crucially, Ruler gets the kill, and Bengi did bite up more than he could chew.
Yep, the red buff over to the AD carry. That's the person you wanted on.
That's a really good point, Cyrene. That killing blow. Crown could have flashed and taken himself, but he saves the summoner and gives the red buff to his opponent, or to his AD carry, which will give an advantage over his opponent in that bot lane.
See Crown kind of baiting the ultimate out of Faker. The damage still ticks in pretty well. Crown's down to half HP, and a nice stunning field prevents him from pushing it any farther.
One nice thing about playing this Cassiopeia, though, is when you use that Twin Fang, you can get health back, and you can regen some of this damage that was kind of poured onto him in that little trade with the ultimate from Faker.
Now we recap the game as it stands. 14,000 to 14.5, a small lead for SKT. No Drakes taken so far, of course. Individual matchup-wise, looked like it's still a little bit better for the SCT bottom lane. Of course, they did pick up that kill. Helps quite a bit, of course. Trying to continually shove Ruler in. Maybe gets turned around. The support's battling back and forth. And actually, a little bit gets dodged away. The ulti coming across, though, and you can see
Bengi's here.
Yeah. Blocks away some of the damage. Bengi's around, and Samsung Galaxy able to walk away. But that's 2 ultimates down for SKT.
And that was a pretty big mistake from Bang to actually miss his arrow. He could have waited until the Braum ultimate came out and then shoot the guy when he's already stunned, right? You're able to layer that up, and had he done that properly, I think Bengi could get in there and kick him back and probably get a kill.
Yeah, or at least a summoner stun, right?
Very
Some
least,
type
yeah.
of advantage. So the misexecution there.
Yeah, but all said and done, SK Telecom able to grab the Cloud Drake for themselves. They had enough control over the bottom lane that nothing could be helped about that one. Maybe a little bit of a jungle steal coming through for Ambition, but definitely would rather be SKT in that case.
Certainly would, and this is something that SKT has really struggled with throughout the series, is doing those dragons and getting that control, and they've always been willing to make the trade for those other objectives, but it hasn't paid off as much as it normally would for them. So they're making a bit of a pivot now, trying to focus more on those early dragons, take them away from Samsung so they can't have that massive advantage if we get to the late game.
Everyone is watching.
We'll see where those advantages end up coming in, because look at this Bengi around in the jungle. Yeah, actually going to jump in onto this one. A nice kickback, but it's really just a disengage.
Just doing damage.
Yep. And hey, half HP in a Cassiopeia. Well played.
Yeah, pretty clever.
Yeah, she's going to heal up, though, so I'm not 100% sure. It just gives a better back to Faker.
Yeah.
Ambition slinks around. He was revealed. Now, as he spots this ward, he's going to be able to kill it off, but
Could simply be something where Bengi was worried that if he didn't kind of get in there and deal a little damage, that Crown would just jump onto him. Because Bengi doesn't have the summoners, and Crown does. So, you know, if Crown hit some of his kind of poison, could have maybe chased him down and done something there. So it could have been something like that. But either way, Ambition kind of getting a little bit aggressive in the jungle on the bot side with Bengi. And they're fighting back and forth here for these camps.
Trading for it, and you can see that the Wolf Smite, the reveal, it shows Ambition coming around, and here comes the attempt at a flank. Tahm Kench's ultimate lets you drag someone across the map, and they're right there on the back line. There's the jump. They've picked off Bang, and he's going to be dropped with this one. A great kill picked up for Ruler. Now the chase in, they want Wolf, and they're going to find him. The kill's going to come through for Crown. What a well-played dive.
Just massive there for Samsung. The first Tahm Kench ultimate, you can eat up your ally. You can port him over onto their team, and they pick up 2 kills there, and will be pushing for this turret. Now they're going to try to TP in mid lane, defend this, so they can get first turret bottom, which, remember, gives that bonus gold. So nicely played by Kube, well communicated among the team. They get the turret, they get the kills, they get it all.
This is incredible from Samsung. Really, really well played here, and they might even have the time to give the gold to Solo.
Not quite. Shared with one.
Shared with one person. So when the turret goes down, it has gold that goes to everybody, but also some gold that goes locally to the people who are within a certain range.
That gets shared, and went only to 2 people.
And Kube even gets back top to defend his turret before too much damage is dealt there. So Samsung really working out on all sides for them. The only kind of big thing right now for SKT is Duke still has his TP. They take away the blue buff, so they will be looking to try to make a play around this. And here it is once again. You can see Tahm Kench, the Abyssal Voyage, coming up, delivering his jungler right on top of them. Not much chance for Bang to get away on this Ashe because he doesn't have a dash.
Yep, he doesn't even have any way to get away at that point. And then CoreJJ swallows him up and throws him out and does a lot of damage meanwhile. But they don't get anything off of that. That's the big thing is when you will see plays like that happen, typically the enemy team that you are diving will have a counter play on the opposite side of the map. But what Faker and Bengi did was tried to push mid and Duke tried to push top. So they were trying to get too much instead of grouping up as 3 and trying to push down a single one.
Yeah, Kube lost, I guess, some time. Like, I'm sure that top lane turret lost a bit of HP, but you're absolutely right. Nothing really that tangible has happened. Some damage was dealt. Maybe it pays off later for SKT, but right now, you're right. Not that much was gained. Bang now running into it.
And it's also very critical to note that Samsung, 4 kills, 2 on their AD carry, 2 on their mid laner. We talked about how their composition is relatively low damage. You have essentially 3 tanks and 2 damage dealers. And the fact that these guys are the ones who get all the gold from those kills is actually really, really big. They must be strong in order to actually compete and fight back here.
They might find a little bit more as well. The Chomp comes in.
coming
You've
up.
got to be a bit careful. Wolf is here. The knockout coming around, and it's going to be CoreJJ kicked around and then killed off. Faker gets himself a kill. But here's the teleport. Here comes the rest of the play. What can be grabbed as Bang is locking down this turret, hitting it with arrow after arrow into the shot, and it's going to be quick runaway by Ruler to get out of this one, but it's SKT who control that side of the map. They get the champion kill, the turret going down as well.
Yep, just have to watch out for Cuvée on the opposite side of the map, dealing some damage to this turret, but Poppy, as a tank, doesn't really build any damage.
Yeah, it is tough for her to work away on it, but will at least get some chip damage done and is getting that experience, picking up some minions, so a little bit ahead of Trundle as far as that goes, and that's a good job by her. And at least thankfully for Samsung, they did kind of minimize the losses because it was 5 members of SKT top. They only lost the 1 guy, and that turret probably was eventually going to go down. So TP is now down for Duke. They're back on even terms with that, and they can look to try to find a better fight.
Well, now it's time for CoreJJ to start looking for plays of his own, possibly diving with his ultimate, because his ultimate's like a mini teleport where he brings somebody along. He can give it to anybody.
Yeah,
He's hanging
anyone
around
who
with
wants
Cuvée.
to jump in. It can be pretty dangerous sometimes because if you're ultimating in, especially as a carry, sometimes Tahm Kench takes you somewhere you don't want to go.
Yeah, he's usually going to bring Ambition or Cuvée in and have that tank be right on top of those priority members of the SKT.
Anytime a frog asks you to get in his belly, Zyrene, you can't trust him. Gotta be careful.
I thought that's you go every time.
Well, we'll see if we can find any more of those delicious allied champions and find themselves a kill with it.
He's looking.
Oh, nicely played. That ultimate stops on taking damage, and Wolf landing his key right there, and that's going to be another shot as well. That should be Bang getting the kill. Flash heal used, and multiple summoner spells burned for Ruler to get away with this.
He's trying to actually counter there too. Yeah, just throws it out and backs up.
There's still much more lost by the Samsung Galaxy AD carry, so
His ult now, so
there we go. 1, 2, 3. Forced out of that's a kill, but the teammates are nearby, and that could be enough. Bang has really nowhere to go. I don't think he can get out of this one. Spits the Olaf forward, and it's now going to be too much. Ambition gets the kill. Nicely played by Samsung Galaxy.
And CoreJJ is just so good at this champion. I love watching Masters of Tahm Kench because they're proactive with the ultimate. They don't sit around and wait for something to appear. They actually go and they make these plays happen, and that's the strength of the champion. It's especially in a world where teleport has been nerfed, guys. It's a longer cooldown. It takes longer to channel. And Tahm Kench ultimate, because of that, by comparison, got stronger.
oh, and it even got reduced in its travel time recently.
Yeah,
so
right.
it's warning time. It's crazy. And this has been one of CoreJJ's best champions for a while now. When he first made his debut on support, it's like, all right, what's this guy even play? Oh, and then he brings out the Tahm Kench against like KT and starts actually winning games.
And this is a very interesting kind of exchange from the previous games because it was always SKT taking the gold lead, taking the turrets and the kills and things like that, and Samsung fighting back with the dragons. And now it's the opposite, and it's Cuvée getting dove.
But maybe a couple more kills might come through here on this one. The Chomp comes out, and Duke takes a bite. Looks like bot lane turret is completely under fire, and SKT in a few seconds will have taken down all 3 outer turrets.
And this is something that you should do when something like this happens. Look at the bottom, look at the mini-map. There's nobody in position from Samsung to actually get anything off of that because Ruler was back and Ambition was back. You see them walking out of the base as that is happening. There's no counter that they can make.
Ooh, a knockup's going to land, and quick, the Chomp comes in. The Devour and he gets away with it all. Nice attempt. 2 ultimates burned by SKT, and a quick press of W, out he goes.
Drops the swag with a little icon flash there. Showing a little Samsung pride. I like it from CoreJJ, and that's exactly why you take this pick of Tahm Kench. You can deny those pickoffs very easily. You know, even just the fact that he saved Crown Summoners is massive, because it would have at least been one of those, if not a death.
Definitely the case here. Seeing him fight for control, though. Look how up Ambition is playing right onto the face of Faker. And he actually had everything that he wanted. The shots come through, but not quite enough. Bullets are going to land. Finally, the body block comes through for Wolf, but still, Faker low on HP and a bit of control over the mid lane for Samsung Galaxy. Can they get much of anything?
And I think that was very patient, very smart play from Ambition, backing off, because had he stayed, he would have died there. He didn't overextend for the kill. He accepts, okay, couldn't kill Faker. I'll back off and I'll live to fight another day.
Yep, the heal comes out from Bang as well, so they get a summoner spell out of it. It's not huge, but it's still something.
It certainly is. And League of Legends is a game of inches. You have to take these little advantages that can sometimes pay dividends later.
Next time they fight Bang, he won't have that ability. It's going to be a 4-minute cooldown for him, and maybe something does come out of that one. Right now you see the allocation of resources. It's Crown who's kind of defending on this left-hand side of the map towards the bottom, towards his own base, and getting a lot of the gold for himself. They're keeping Ruler near the mid. They know he can start these fights out with the curtain call, with that Jhin ultimate. Hoping they can find one of these kills in SK Telecom here. SKT have actually grabbed themselves 2 Cloud Drakes, and a 3rd is spawning. This is actually going to make for some interesting circumstances. Cloud Drakes make you run faster when you're outside of combat, and they're going to stack up 3 of those buffs. They will be ridiculously quick in getting around the map.
It's also really, really cool because they're playing a pick comp, right? They're already playing this kind of engaged comp where they have the Ashe Arrow and they have the Braum ultimate and they follow up and Lee Sin looking for kicks and stuff. And having that extra mobility means that you can get in there faster and sometimes catch someone where you wouldn't otherwise be able to.
And it's such a small thing as well, but it's hard to notice when you're playing because you don't get the other where you're like, oh, I didn't catch him because I didn't have these, because you have them, right? Yep. You have no comparison. So you run around the map faster, and you'll get to places a little bit sooner. And this game becomes a lot about rotations, which is going from one lane to the other before the enemy and trying to make sure that you can get these turrets down.
And that's a great point, you know, speaking about the rotations, because as someone like Duke, who's going to be in the side lane, split pushing, he has to move around the map very quickly, not get caught, be in the right place at the right time. And a lot of that requires a lot of walking, which those Cloud Drakes are actually very, very good for. You know, not being able to get caught by Ambition, who's going to be very quick and looking for those kind of chase downs, is going to be huge.
So you can find those openings right now. You've got Wolf in a slightly precarious situation, but he's just fine with that one. Takes an axe to the face, blocks it with the shield. Doesn't even take damage for that one. Blue buff transferred over to Faker. That's perfect for him. He's going to have that for the next couple of minutes and feel good about this. And the teams once again are squaring off, trying to control over the mid lane. Samsung Galaxy have yet to take down that turret. SKT done a great job of defending it.
It's interesting to me, Freak, you know, the door greater than the axe there. You would think that it seems a little bit strange, you know? You would think that the axe would be the one winning out over the door.
Depends what the door is made of
That's
course,
true.
right?
And Braum is pretty jacked, so it could be like a stone door or something.
Well, I mean, in the lore of Braum, actually, it is an unbreakable door.
There you go.
It's so unbreakable that it was a door on a mountain, and he punched the door, he couldn't break it, so he punches through the mountain instead
right,
to get inside.
There was a child trapped
like
behind.
I said, pretty jacked.
Exactly. Very strong. Punches through a mountain and saves the child.
So the door's better than a mountain. So is the axe gonna beat a mountain? I don't think so.
Guess not.
Uh-oh. Well, unlucky that he picked Olaf first pick then, because what are you going to chop through in this case? Not a lot of wood left in this one, so I don't know. I don't think you can find the lumber.
There's no Maokai.
There, yeah, there's no trees to kill. Ashe Arrow comes in and actually hits the armor personnel carrier.
Yeah,
down to half HP. He's got to be a bit careful. Flashes away. Ooh. Could go down. Won't quite do so. Running for dear life. Nearly out of HP. Then now the re-engage. Curtain Call comes in, looking for the shots, but it's only hitting Duke in the front line. And the last 2 miss anyway. No kills picked up. Just a trade of cooldowns.
Yeah, not too bad there for Samsung. And all jokes aside, it's actually not bad to hit the Tahm Kench, because if you hit someone else, he will eat them and spit them away to safety. But if you hit the Tahm Kench, you can either kill him off or force summoners, as they did there. So they get the flash from CoreJJ. And that's pretty well played there by SKT.
Yeah, I'm actually unsure if Bengi meant to kick Ruler back, because that kick would have been an execute on CoreJJ. CoreJJ flashed away right after Bengi had taken the second part of his Q where he closes the distance. So I think he may have misclicked there and hit Ruler instead.
And that's a tough call to make, right? Looking for the bigger prize, trying to take down this marksman and hoping that you can do that and perhaps get a really big advantage. You know, maybe even an early Baron or something if you can take down some key members.
And it's always tight as well because one of the things with Tahm Kench is one of his abilities, basically, as he takes damage, hold on, it's Faker getting caught up there, and it's going to be a lot of damage blowing right into his face, turns it back out of Ruler, but can't quite get it, and that's the kill picked off. Out they go, away from the Chaos Storm, but the teleport's already in. Duke now caught up in the front line, and Samsung Galaxy looking to get a whole lot more. The stun only lands on a support, which means the damage dealers are free to chase in. Another slow onto Duke, the tackle into the sidewall, well played by Cuvee, and CoreJJ gets himself the kill, now out of the mid lane turret.
And how much more can they get? Because remember, Cassiopeia does so much damage. You can kill off Baron very quickly. Do they dare go for it? Looks like they're going to take the safer play and deny one of these Cloud Drakes. So you have to remember, we talked about how nice it is if SKT can get 3. Now it's the difference of 2 to 1 instead of 3 to 0. So the movement speed differential is much smaller, and that's why this is a big win.
That's crazy that they didn't actually go for the Baron here. They have control of that
thought they
area.
would've.
You see on the minimap that they had pink wards all throughout that, but this is a Tahm Kench flank after a root comes up. Yep, there it is from behind, and he's just getting completely kind of sheepdogged this way, herded this way.
And you know what it really tells me about Samsung? It tells me the confidence that they're gaining. I think that Samsung game 1 or game 2, go for the Baron, make that risky play. They're saying, you know what? We can beat SKT. We don't need to take a risk. We don't need to throw it to a smite that Bengi can maybe steal. We'll take the Dragon. We'll beat these guys again.
Yeah, they won from behind multiple times already. So now they have an advantage. What does the game look like then? And I do think that their champions actually scale quite a bit better into that late game. The Olaf is going to do a little bit more in terms of damage than the Lee Sin, can really put pressure on Bang. The Cassiopeia outscales the Victor, arguably. You know, they both actually become powerhouses. So I think Samsung are actually kind of comfortable with that late game, especially with 3 tanks.
Yeah.
3 tanks always feels good.
I think it's always going to come down in the late game with these comps to who plays it better. But I agree. They're super strong in the late game. I think that SKT is very strong too, and will have a side lane advantage of Duke kind of beating up on Cuvee. But that said, they're so confident in their skill. They're so confident in what they've been able to accomplish in these last 2 games.
And even just the point you brought up a second ago, Zyrene, about taking a less risky play is one of the things I love about the game is the risk assessment these teams put themselves in. They say, do we go for maybe a 70-30 play going for Baron? It could backfire, Banky could steal it. Or do we take the 100% lower advantage of just going for the Cloud Drake? And you've got to make that choice based on how well you think you're going to be doing at winning the game.
And teams will always evaluate it differently as well.
They will.
Right? And that's what I love, is there's some really aggressive teams, and then there's some ones that are really reserved.
And even just players among the teams. When you look at, some players are just always willing to make those plays, and Ambition is going to have to get out of there.
Not too big of a prop. Olaf pretty good at running away from things, especially with the Tahm Kench on your team. But Samsung Galaxy find a slow on the Wolf. This might be a fight they're looking for. 2 slows. Actually lands a 2-man axe. A nice kickback, and Ambition did not ulti in time. If he had popped it, it wouldn't have been a knockback, but it also just might not have been a kill. Banky fighting back for ward control, getting the wards out of his own jungle and putting some of his own down inside the Baron pit, knowing that Samsung cannot sneak that objective away.
They were looking at Crown. Crown is actually pretty exposed here for a second. Had SKT realized that, they probably would have gone for him because he was up there without really any protection, and that's something that's kind of risky from Crown. But it's like you talked about, risk assessment. What is the chance that they go for me if I go kill this minion wave? You know, he's saying, hey, it's probably pretty low, and in this case he was right. But those decisions sometimes can decide series.
Especially when he has no flash as well. Clearing a minion wave is quite risky. He does have the ghost still available, but that's something that's really kind of, you react to the arrow coming at you a little bit slower. You have to be quite good.
Well, the map has somewhat reset here. They've been fighting for vision back and forth, and he's going to have to play a little back. Yeah, he's going to be fine. Ooh, that was actually pretty close. Cuvee nearly could have secured maybe a flash force if he had hit his abilities quite in time, but Banky was quick enough to get away with it all.
Yeah, you actually heard the start of the stunning animation from Poppy, where he was charging at him, but he got out just fast enough that it didn't actually push his model at all into a wall.
Yeah, about a 1/10 of a second away from making Banky have to burn flash to get out instead of just simply hopping into a ward, which he had done right there. It would have been a very big difference. So, CoreJJ going to hit the Baron and make it look like they're doing that objective. It's not what's actually happening, though.
So
unfortunately is not. And I think the fact that Ambition is there throwing an axe to them kind of gives it away a little bit. But, you know, it is back and forth, the control over this Baron. And it's really trying to get SKT to expend all their resources. Things like the Hawk Shot that you just saw fly over the pit. It's something that Ashe can use to scout out these abilities and scout out these locations. And if they can get through everything that SKT has to offer to check out that pit, then they can start it up and they can really go for those more aggressive moves.
Duke continuing his split push progress down here. Lets the minions die to the turret. He's actually looking to make the flank play happen. Roaming in, Kube beats him off in the pass. Well, Duke's going to feel okay about that fight, but still does lose 4 HP. Even still, slows Kube down, and even though they didn't really get any kills back or forth, that is several hundred gold that Kube missed out on by not being bot lane when it was pushed into his turret.
That was a clever play from Duke, just anticipating that Kube would take that path and kind of blocking him off. And
yeah,
those little advantages. And Duke has been doing a pretty good job of that so far. Just has the 1 death to his name. Hasn't really been completely dominating these kind of side lanes as the Trundle and the Poppy that you would sometimes hope that your Trundle would be able to accomplish. But, you know, he's been solid.
Yeah, and when Kube is a good enough player to not die solo against him in a matchup, then you really have to go all in on the split push or just abandon it kind of every now and then. Because Duke, I feel like these team fights, have we seen in this series him actually get anything off of split pushing during a team fight? It hasn't happened. He's been answered quite effectively. I think maybe even one time he got a turret. I don't even know.
Yeah, he certainly picked up a couple turrets here and there, but it has not been the story of any games where you see, oh my god, this Trundle's unstoppable, he's killing everything, taking down turrets left and right. It has never been like that.
In some fights, so they really want him in those fights is how it seems to be going here. Plus, now Kube's completely tanked up. You aren't really going to kill him ever unless you're blowing your ultimate on him, and you're only really doing that in a fight.
It's going to be really unlikely to happen that way. Ward control again, still the battle, much like in the very first game of the series. It's a bit of a lull in the mid game as teams fight to control Baron Nashor in the area around it enough that no one can get in on them. But at Samsung Galaxy now feel like the team who is winning at least by a little bit, and they're the one who are first to play, opening up on the Drake a little bit.
And it's another Dragon. This one's going to be contested, I would imagine, but look at this. This is Wolf dropping that shield, and he is going to be able to block a lot of the damage. The first shot that actually hits it is completely negated. Stops all the damage. Those ones after are reduced damage, but not completely stopped.
And even still, the mechanics of Jin's ultimate, it does more
kind of getting run down here.
Oh, he is getting run down. He's got to run for dear life at this point. Feels safe enough, then gets kicked back into the team. Now he's got to retreat. Is he going to get carried around? No, he's fine just to run away with it all. But it's now almost a 5v4, and that's going to be burnt down quickly. Nicely done by SKT, grabbing the Infernal Drake. And now the Ashe Arrow is going to land, and it's time for CoreJJ to run for dear life, bringing his teammate to safety.
And once again, the power of the Tahm Kench there saves his mid laner, actually expends his summoner, so Crown does not have to expend one, knowing his is less valuable, but Ambition there getting caught costs them the dragon.
Yeah, and you'll see this happen from Tahm Kench's where they'll blow their summoner spell so that their mid laner or AD carry, whoever, doesn't have to blow theirs. And they'll even buy QSS, which is not typically a support item. You will buy it on your carries to get rid of a crowd control effect on them, a disable, but he'll buy it so he can basically use it for somebody else.
Right.
Yeah, you can get out of that Ashe Arrow, for example, and then eat someone else who's CC'd by something else. So it is definitely very nice. I think in this game he'll probably build towards a Locket first, but we could see that later in the game. And just the Locket is essentially that item that Wolf has already completed. It's this little kind of orange crest. It almost looks like a bird or something, or a phoenix spreading its wings.
Yeah,
I don't know exactly what it is.
It's the Iron Solari. If you play Leona, the skin, the shield.
Yeah.
It's big iron bird.
It's a lore-based item, you're right, an iron bird, and essentially it gives an aura of magic resist and an activatable shield to all nearby teammates. It's a great defensive buy, helps your entire team become more durable, and it's almost mandatory in a game. Now another attempt at the play, the curtain call lands 3 of the bullets, and you can just see it just doesn't do enough damage to a tank support like Wolf is playing.
And now SKT are just playing keep away, but keep vision of the Baron, and they'll be able to do that with the Scuttle Crab that they killed, which is the little jungle creep that goes back and forth in the river, and then when you kill it, it becomes this little thing here.
They're actually sneaking in the pit. This is so smart.
Super
so
slick.
What they're doing here, you can see that the Scuttle Crab was killed. Their opponents have vision on the outside, but they ulted into the pit, sneaking around. It does get spotted out by Bang, but still is very clever to try.
Shot used to reveal that, nicely played, and uh-oh, the re-engage looking towards Ambition, gets pulled in, but no damage is dealt on the top of that one. A trade of health bars, but everyone's going to live through this
still love the attempt there. Very
Yeah,
clever.
absolutely smart. But even equally smart by Bang to say, hold on a second, I heard the Tahm Kench ultimate, let me pop this Hawk shot.
Yep. And SKT, they were trying to play keep away because they have teleport advantage over Cuvée with Duke. So Duke, if they hadn't attempted that on Samsung Galaxy side, he would have been able to split push bottom, push it all the way to the turret with the wave clear he has over the Poppy, and possibly do some damage to it. But because Samsung do that, they stop that from happening. So it's a good way to pull SKT away from the bottom side of the map.
Another battle, the one-on-one between the two huge tanks. And Cuvée doesn't even want to battle him until the minion wave is there to be killed. Just doing a little bit with his spells.
Yeah, he's just going to kind of drop that Q, which is that little pop-up of damage, and try to thin out the mini wave as best as he possibly can. He cares more about killing the minions than dealing with the Trundle, to be honest.
Yep.
And the reason he cares about that is the Trundle can't come and kill his turrets if he has no minions.
Can't do that, but they're going to fight for wards over in the Baron Pit once again. It's the perennial battle you see here, especially for professional League of Legends.
He's going to look for a pick.
Looking for the play. Faker ghosting in. I don't know if he's going to find much of anything, but it does give them map control. And now they've looked into CoreJJ, the layer of crowd control, and they're going to kick him back. They're going to pick him off. Nicely played there. SKT even forcing the cancel of the teleport. So Cuvée is trapped in the bottom side of the map now.
And they went after CoreJJ. Originally, they got his flash, and he saved Crown's flash, but they revisit, and they pick out CoreJJ, and they get that kill on him.
And it is a nice kill, but unless they can get something off of it, it's not a big deal to kill off that support. You know, he doesn't need that time out on the map, farming up the gold. So it's up to SKT to get something else here, whether it's killing off the wards around Baron, establishing vision control, taking an objective. But so far, really all it's been is a little bit of a vision.
Yeah, he's trying to battle for some of these wards right here. You see Bangy running up just to kill one off and actually going to get maybe a little bit tackled. Now he can jump over the wall, times it out pretty properly, but you can see Ambition taking that Scuttle Crab. You cannot despawn that. It lasts the full minute no matter what you do, which means that even if SKT do take ward control, they've got a minute of safety, basically.
And that Scuttle Crab is just killing off that little creature that kind of walks back and forth, looks like a bug in the river. And if you do kill that, it's that pocket of vision. It doesn't show you inside the Baron Pit, but you can see people enter the Baron Pit.
Yeah, it also gives a little bit of movement speed if you walk over it, only to the team that had killed it. So it allows you to traverse the river a little bit faster as well.
Now
Yeah,
the
Ambition's
attempt in.
out
Oh, this
again.
is not good for Crown. Running out of health rapidly, trying to get away from the Chaos Storm, and gets chomped up just to keep him alive for now. Ambition low on HP, also got burned down a little bit. Very low health bars on Samsung Galaxy.
Yeah, this is scary for Samsung now because they are chunked out. Ambition has no ultimate, no ghost. Crown has no ghost, and SKT can kind of threaten moving towards the Baron.
Yeah, and there's no teleport as well on Cuvée, so Duke can go to whatever part of the map that he wants and put pressure on the bottom side. Especially when there's a Drake coming up as well, and it will be the Elder Drake soon.
Neither Elder Dragon is going to be insane. Samsung's going to be weaker. SKT is going to be reasonably strong, and we'll see which way they can play for it. Another curtain call comes up. Duke runs right in to tank it all, but he will take some damage because of this, and it gives a bit of time for Samsung Galaxy to get some chips down on this mid lane tier 2 turret, down to about 2/3. The re-engage, the stun. Here comes Bangy, looking for a bit to do, and he's going to find the CC. They're going to pick off Ambition. 1-3-0 to SKT. The trade back, though, as Bangy loses his life, and a nice knockback out of Cuvée on the Poppy, but he's got to flash away. So much damage coming out of Bang on that Ashe.
Crown still has his ultimate. He has held that. And if they are facing Crown when he casts that, they're going to get stunned. So they have to be careful about chasing too far and potentially getting that turnaround.
And if SKT had 3 Cloud Drakes, that pillar would have probably put all of Samsung on the other side of it. They would have been able to catch up and make that fight last a little bit longer. The difference in move speed actually could have been quite a lot, but doesn't quite trap the team along with it. But actually Bang, hit up a little bit. That was a nice deadly flourish.
Ruler too far forward.
Ruler, too far forward, definitely. Now here comes the dive. Looking to pick him off. It will be CoreJJ losing his life for Ruler's mistake.
And you keep thinking, does Faker still have ultimate? He killed people. Yeah, he still had that. He holds on to it so long, and Bang is about to have his up again.
And that was just such a massive mistake from Ruler. Just wandered into the team and honestly could be the straw that breaks the camel's back here and potentially cost them the whole championship as they're going over on the Baron. This could be massive.
It's going to be a difficult one. Baron Asher already picked off, and now Samsung wishes they weren't even here. Crown still gets hit by the sun. He's going to die for this one. The ulti actually buys a little bit of time, but the pillar is there, and there's the kill picked up. SKT with another one.
And yeah, you were saying this might be the straw that breaks the camel's back. They get to go to Elder Dragon immediately afterward on SKT's side.
I think Ruler just threw the game, and that was just such a big mistake that led to this catastrophe that is what's happening right now. I mean, he gets saved, yes, but CoreJJ has to give up his life. Ruler spends his summoners, then Crown dies, they get the Baron, they're going to take Elder, and the list goes on and on.
Yep. This is going to be almost no chance of a steal. Olaf cannot get over walls. Not going to find the steal. Red team has slain the dragon. SK Telecom T1 have 2 minutes of an obscene power play.
So Ruler was trying to kind of salvage a situation where they were caught, and to be honest, his rookie was showing there for a bit. That was a big mistake, and he gave up so much. Crown actually flashes here in line with the arrow and still gets stunned by it. So then the flash comes out from Wolf to follow it up and get another stun here, and that's what ends up sealing his fate. So Ruler kind of sold out his team there.
Yeah, and Crown definitely would have wanted to try to flash over the wall, but maybe a mistake there from him. Either way, Samsung's up against it now. They're going to have to hang on for the 2 minutes, hope that that Elder Dragon buff will expire, and then attempt to hold off against the even longer Baron.
Definitely going to be difficult. You're seeing chips now down to the middle lane tier 2 turret. That Baron buffed up cannon minion artillery. Finally does go down, though. A little bit of damage dealt, but another wave is there. The reinforcement already here for SKT, and you can see Samsung Galaxy back right off. They know they cannot contest this 5-on-5. Meanwhile, Duke on the split push gets another one. More gold into the pockets of SKT.
And this is where Samsung are going to have to decide, do we make a stand or do we just give up the inhibitor? Because it's going to be a tough choice, and one that's going to have massive impact on the rest of the game.
And this is where Duke can really just destroy Cube because he has 190 true damage, I believe is what it is. 180 true damage.
Yep.
That's a damage over time to him. So resistances don't matter. And now he has Baron buffed up minions too. Just constantly pushes in. And now 2 people have to go up to answer. And then you get chip damage mid. You go back and forth. And this is what we were talking about when we said rotations.
Rotations are happening. The turrets are getting lower and lower and lower. The siege near the mid lane getting more damage in.
Holding that shot.
Yeah, he's going to hit. There you go. And actually, Wolf chunk down to half is not unreasonable. So pretty decent damage coming out of this one, and Samsung Galaxy will hold onto the turret for now.
And that's going to be the Elder down.
They did a pretty admirable job holding on. Just giving up the 2 outers so far. SKT likely could still go bot and take another outer, but I'm very impressed with that. Still, that said, this is minimizing damage. It's not completely stopping the damage. They're down 7,000 gold.
Oh, trying to make a play on the top side of the map.
And they forced Duke to flash away, but it's just that. You saw how little SKT had to use in their last fight, so all those cooldowns are available. That flash, Duke is fine to burn that.
And take a look at Faker's items and compare them to Crown right now. Faker is a full 6-item victor right now. He has a lot more farm. He has the additional kills as well as the extra gold from the global objectives, and he is massively powerful at this point in the game.
Yeah, I will add a caveat though. Cassiopeias cannot buy boots,
which are cheaper items typically.
Exactly.
It is fair to say.
So that basically you can just pretend that that blasting one is one. So he's a whole item behind Faker right now. But late game, he gets to have more ability power because he has an extra item slot later.
Yeah, for what it's worth, actually, items are categorized by cost. Inside is the most expensive, and towards the outside is the least expensive. Faker's 3rd most expensive item is Crown's most expensive item. So even the cost of the things are showing you how much more Faker has in this game.
Yeah, and he's actually 4,000 gold ahead of his opponent, which is pretty massive. That's more than the entire death cap, the most expensive item in the game, I believe, or at least tied for it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Trinity's up there, right?
Yeah, Trinity's right there with it.
Either way, individual gold counts now shown on your screen. In parentheses is their total gold on an individual level, and you're going to see pretty much down the line SKT are more rich. They've got more items, and because their builds are not capped out, those leads matter a whole heck of a lot.
Certainly do, and it's up to Samsung now to delay. The Baron buff has expired, thankfully for them, and they really did a great job of just losing those 2 turrets. But will SKT be able to kind of take all that extra gold that they got from this and use that to win the game?
That's a good chance this one. They're going to knock down bottom lane, tier 2. That's 6 turrets down. SK Telecom T1 looking to prevent the reverse sweep and close out the series with this one, win the World Championship that they were in some sense supposed to. Great play, great players, and in a few minutes they might be able to close one out. But Samsung Galaxy never wants to say die.
No, and we've seen a lot of really long games in this series. It's been Very hard for SKT to close out games, which is uncharacteristic for them. But they have struggled against Samsung, who has just been so good at holding on despite mistakes here and there from them. They seem to be able to just stick around and kind of never say die.
You know, it's a really interesting thing as well, is that these teams are probably the most familiar with each other in the tournament, because you scrim across the bracket and you only meet in the finals. So they were most likely scrimming during quarters, during semis, and then leading up to this. Yeah. So you can tell that like Samsung has gotten really damn good, but is it good enough to beat SKT? It's still up in question, and they keep having these deficits that have to be made up by miracle plays.
Certainly, and thankfully for them, at least Crown, starting to kind of close that item deficit, has picked up the Void Staff. You talked about it earlier as Irene. It punches through a lot of this magic resistance that his opponents have. So Duke and Bangi specifically have a lot of that magic resistance and are going to take massively less damage because of that. So getting that Void Staff is going to increase his DPS to that front line a lot higher. And when you can kill off the front line, the whole team can start to collapse. If your tanks last longer than their tanks, you are generally going to win the fight.
Absolutely the case. You just can't really burn through these champions. It's going to be real difficult for Samsung Galaxy to do this. The back line is so threatening from SK Telecom Team 1 here, looking to make that next big play. Baron Nashor spawns up in 30 seconds, and yeah, they got 3 turret kills with pretty much their Baron buff, and they said that was good enough for us. We grew the gold lead. Now let's play the vision game once again. You can see them sweeping out the wards, killing them off, and once again darkening the map for Samsung Galaxy, making any sort of choices and moves so difficult here for the blue team.
Yep, and now they're choking out the vision from the Baron area. They have no vision there for Samsung, and they only have 1 blue trinket now. That's on Ruler.
Well, we do have Duke once again pushing in the bot lane. It's kind of this ticking time bomb where eventually someone has to respond, and it will be Kube, as always, running down there to try to pick up that farm and try to stop this. But SKT could look to try to force at least the teleport out. Oh, and they caught Ambition.
Oh, Ambition's running for dear life. He can't be kicked back. He popped the ultimate already, but that will now be a 1 minute long cooldown. All right, that is a gain still picked up by SKT.
And he's going to have to TP in.
Yeah. This also means that if Ambition walks up, he can get kicked right out.
Wolf comes in. There's the pickup. Nicely done. SKT pick up the Baron, and now they're going to also take down Ambition. He's going to pop the Guardian Angel, and he will be right back to die. There's nothing you can do about this one. SKT pick up Baron and the kill.
And look at Duke. He's trying to delay here on the side, trying to hold them in place, but so well done by SKT. They force out the teleport. They get the ultimate from Ambition, which made him immune to crowd control, and then they CC him up afterwards when he comes to check the Baron, kill him off, take the Baron.
And all SKT needed to prompt that was getting the ultimate out of Ambition.
Yeah.
You think about how Samsung Galaxy, they had an opportunity to do Baron earlier, and they said, we're going Cloud Drake, right? That's the difference between these two teams, is SKT, they know their limits and know when to take it with an advantage.
And now the question is, where does Samsung make their stand? Where do they choose to fight? 1 inhibitor already down. The first one has been cracked. And will they try to fight for number 2?
I don't know. It's going to be difficult. Their jungler is still dead. A bit of an engage comes in for Bangi, but it's only onto the tank. But there's the catch out. Thankfully, the Devour keeps them safe for now, and Ruler's going to be okay, but the turret is down, and Kube going to lose the Guardian Angel. Nicely played by Faker. Will there be more? It looks pretty likely. They're going to go on to the inhibitor. That is going to be inhibitor number 2 taken down. SKT have all the tools they need to win this one in about 1 minute's time.
They are just looking so good. It's clinical ever since that mistake from Ruler in the mid lane. They have just snowballed this lead. They crack open the base, and now they only have 1 more inhibitor to take down to really close this out. And if they win a fight, they don't even need to necessarily go for that. They could just walk down mid lane, walk down top lane, and potentially end the game.
Yep. And even though Samsung Galaxy had that comeback win in Game 3, this is an even bigger comeback than that. Their chances are incredibly slim. It is not impossible. We've seen bigger comebacks, at points in League of Legends history, but this is a now monumental task.
But against SKT, it has been undone. It has never been done.
Yeah.
Not they're undone, but it has never been done before.
I also really like this purchase from Wolf. He grabs the ZZ Rot portal, so he's going to drop this and put even more minion pressure on top of the already massive amount that they do have going in. So very interested to see where he actually places it.
I think he puts the bottom, right?
I don't know. Oh, yeah, there it is. It's actually in the bush right by the mid lane. So that is going to make it push even more heavily towards Samsung. And since they can't come out and kill this portal that spawns these little kind of alien minions, it makes it even tougher for them to deal with this split push. You can see Duke is pushing in the top lane. They're getting ready to siege the bot lane. And the next fight could be the last.
Yeah, Cube's going to go and catch that out.
He's going to take a lot of damage for that. And the bait worked pretty well. Has to flash to get away from that one. I would take that trade every day of the week. Devour comes in, brings him to safety, but SKT are ready to keep pushing.
Exactly. They push them off of the turret. Now they can escort super minions into the base and then walk down towards this. You can see Bang ready to just demolish this turret. And look at that. So many minions on the top side.
And now SKT played it perfectly. They're on the bottom inhibitor, the last one alive. Will Samsung decide to fight?
That's the turret going down. The inhibitor now itself is exposed. It's going to drop in about 2 seconds time. All 3 inhibitors have been picked off now by SK Telecom T1. They have everything they need. The minions inside the base, the turrets down below half HP, at least one of them is. But SKT actually are going to choose to play a bit of a slower game. They're backing off to go for the Elder Dragon instead. Now that will give some time for Samsung Galaxy to kill the minions in their base, get a little bit more golden experience, but this Elder Dragon is definitely worth more.
It certainly will, but the Elder Dragon is huge. All of that true damage burn given over to them. And the fact that they're up, 14,000, 15,000 gold means everyone will be capping out their item builds, basing, buying up elixirs, which give you that extra little bit of damage. Only lasts a couple of minutes, but they'll be able to afford those, and they will wait for all the super minions to be pushing in from every side. And it's going to be up to Samsung to look for a miracle fight. They can't wait for SKT to push in, or they will get overwhelmed by the minions. They must choose their moment and go forward and take a fight and win or lose.
And we are approaching that point in time where people are hitting 6 items on both sides. You don't get any stronger than that. The gold starts meaning less and less, but then it's the dragons. It's what you have buff-wise.
That arrow could have been a game-winning play. Now it's Kuba getting jumped on down to half HP.
Crown's
not going to mean a whole lot. And yeah, Crown's going to join this fight at some point. Faker puts on the ultimate. He's got a lot of damage. Where's the fight going to be? A great escape. Crown does not get picked up just yet by Bangi, but the kill still comes through on the Kube. 1 for 0, 2 for 0. SKT starting to dismantle everybody now on the roster. 5 versus 2 now on the field, and there's just nothing left. The curtain call, so suitably named, coming in now for the AD carry. It's not going to mean enough. The turrets are falling, and despite the 2 wins that Samsung had brought out, it is SK Telecom T1 winning their 3rd World Championship.
An absolutely incredible run for Samsung, making it here all the way to the finals, Game 5. But it's SKT, the best team in League of Legends history. They do it again here tonight, cementing themselves as a dynasty. And Faker, once again, removes all doubt. This guy's the best player in the world, carrying the game on Victor. Game 5 when it counted. Just incredible.
Every time his throne is challenged, he ends up coming out on top again as the unkillable Demon King.
He definitely is, and I've got to hand it to a player that he feels maligned, I feel like. Bangi, the jungler here for SK Telecom T1. One of his nicknames is that he's Faker's 3rd summoner spell. He doesn't even count as a full player. He's one of the buttons on Faker's keyboard. But Bangi, despite SKT narrowly winning their semifinal and their final, 3-2 both times, individually 6-1 in those matches.
And Bangi has another nickname though, the Jungle. He is the jungle. He mastered the jungle. He is going to own you in the jungle, and he did that again for the 3rd time in the World Championship Finals.
It's got to be such a good feeling for these guys. I mean, probably a lot closer than they thought it was going to be. Came right down to the wire, but in the end, they get the win, and that's all that really matters. But we were treated to such amazing games tonight. 5 full games. The series went the distance, and these guys poured their hearts out. They gave it their all. We had some incredibly long games, and it took so much mental fortitude for SKT.
We've got lots of fun things out here at LA Live where we're casting. Confetti just blew up all over the fans. That was pretty great. So you got to look inside the stadium as well. We've got celebrations in all the locations there. The Summoners Cup, though, It is SKT's to own another year. We've only
Defending
had
champions.
Yeah.
Get it again. The first time ever to have a defending champion qualify for Worlds.
Well, right, that was one of the curses. If you won Worlds, you did not qualify again for the next year. Finally broken by SKT, who then just wins the darn thing.
These guys just seem unstoppable. Regardless of who their AD carry is, who their support is, who they're subbing in jungle, who the top laner is, they've shown that Faker, Koma, Bengi, the core will always deliver.
And for these guys, they're the consummate professionals. They will celebrate, they will revel in their success, but then they will get back to work to come back again and look for their 4th World Championship, for their next one. These guys just never stop, and that's why they are the greatest.
And they feel that pressure. They know what it's like to be #1, and they don't take it lightly. They know everybody is chasing them after this point. They know that everybody wants to take their throne, and they won't let them.
SK Telecom T1, the collective emperors of League of Legends, to remain nearly unchallenged as the best League of Legends team of all time. They have deserved this. They've won 3 of the last 4 World Championships. They are the kings. They are the best team we've ever seen, and they will continue to dominate, I have to believe. And that's going to do it for us here on the stream. Thank you all so much for joining us. If you are new to League of Legends, we were happy to help pilot you through this. I hope you stick around and watch more of this amazing esport as it continues to unfold throughout the years. But now we're going to listen into the casters at the Staples Center as we crown our 2016 League of Legends World Champions.
Once again, don the title.
Yeah, the 3rd time they're going to win this championship. You can see how much this means to them. Bengi as well. Just this guy, SKT, struggled in so many games where he wasn't playing, but 6-1 in the games he played from semifinals to finals.
And as we said so many times, the importance of the team game. Yes, Faker is the all-star. He is the leader, but Bang and Wolf as well, now returning champions. And Duke gets to raise his first.
That is some of the most emotion we've seen from Faker all day long. From his stoic, villain-style entry at the beginning of the show, to some of the disappointment, to the losses in games 3 and 4. And we heard him saying, with all of the trials and tribulations of 2016, anything less than a victory would be disappointment.
Koma, also the winningest coach of all time.
And as you can see, SK Telecom meeting League of Legends co-creators Brandon Beck and Mark Merrill on stage to congratulate and receive their World Championship medals.
They're very familiar with these guys by now.
Yeah, how you been the last year? It's nice to see you again for another World Championship.
Just saying, last year I held the medals. The podium this year is much better looking.
He's doing a better job than you.
Touche.
Get that thing untangled here.
What an amazing performance. The story of SK Telecom is one for the ages.
Yeah, and we talk about legacy. I don't know how long it will take for another team to try and win 3 World Championships. We were saying beforehand how hard it is to win 1, let alone no one had even made Worlds after winning 1 until SKT did it this year. And now suddenly they win 3 in 4 years. They definitely go down in history. Duke's Trundle so solid throughout all of these games.
And just incredible when you take everything into consideration. We talked about the players sitting on the bench. We talked about the meta changing, the substitutions. The 2 men left, Koma and Faker. League of Legends' most successful coach.
Faker earned it.
Truly a legend.
This was their hardest fought victory. As we head down on stage, where Shox will be talking to SKT.
Thank you so much, and the crowd erupting in chants for SKT. Faker, congratulations, winning the World Championship once again, but it was the most hard-fought victory in all three of the titles. How much did it take out of you and out of the team, and how much experience to finally bring it home here tonight?
페이커 선수 우선 3회째 우승을 축하드립니다. 하지만 이번 결승전이 아무래도 지금까지 치렀던 결승전에서 가장 힘들었을 것 같은데 이번 결승전을 치르면서 어떻게 본인 자신과 팀원들이 같이 힘을 내면서 결승전을 이겨냈는지 말씀해 주세요.
이번에 진짜 너무 힘들어서 다들 좀 경기 중에도 힘들어하는 모습이 있었는데 좀 다들 잘 이겨낸 것 같아요. 그리고 이번 시리즈가 좀 제 롤 역사상 가장 힘든 경기였던 것 같아서 그래서 좀 다들 기뻐했던 것 같아요.
I think this series was the most difficult series of my entire League of Legends career. Like, we were really exhausted, and throughout the game, all my teammates, we were not in a very good state, but I'm really glad we were able to come over it.
Yeah, as you say, you had two great games, and then the momentum seemed to change. Why do you think the momentum changed during Game 3, and how did you get it back in favor of your team?
이제 1, 2경기는 다 이제 이기신 뒤에 3경기에도 유리하게 경기를 하시다가 갑자기 경기의 흐름이 바뀌었는데요. 어떻게 하다 세 번째 경기에서 그 흐름이 바뀌었다가 다시 한번 그런 승리의 기운을 5경기에서 가져올 수 있었는지 말씀해 주세요.
저희가 1, 2경기도 좀 그랬지만 3경기 때도 좀 실수가 많았고 또 그때 발언을 하기로 했었는데 그게 좀 저희가 다 같이 판단을 못해서 그런 결과가 나와서 뭐 근데 좀 이제 저희가 5경기까지 가면 좀 집중력이 많이 좋다 보니까 5경기 때는 잘 나왔던 것 같아요.
So even though we made some small mistakes during game 1 and 2, I think our biggest mistake at game 3 was hitting the Baron. I think it was a team mistake, but by getting to game 5, we were able to stay concentrated and stay on our game. So I think that was how we were able to win the whole series.
And you won the championship in 2013. At the very beginning of your professional career, you stood right here, you lifted this cup, and you won your first world championship. Now, a lot of time has passed. You've accomplished so much. What does it mean for you to do it again here in Staples Center with Bengi by your side, with Koma by your side, and lift another trophy?
여기 이 스테이플 센터에서 2013년도에 페이커 선수의 첫 롤드컵 우승을 이뤘었는데요. 이 장소에서 다시 한번 뱅이 선수와 이제 꼬마 김정희 코치님과 다시 한번 소환서컵을 들어올 수 있는 이 소감이 어떠신지 말씀해 주세요.
진짜 3년 만에 와보니까 그때랑 거의 바뀐 것도 없고 그래서 많이 익숙한 기분이 들었고 또 그래서 저희 팀원들이랑 같이 우승하니까 뭔가 좀 되게 이상한 느낌이 드는데 좀 표현하기가 어렵네요.
It's really hard to explain in words. Like when I first came to Staples Center, even though it's been 3 years, it just felt really familiar and it felt really good. But winning this tournament once again with my teammates it's a great experience. I can't really express it in words.
The crowd can do it for you. You said in a recent piece with the Player Tribune how you play when you're angry, and that is obviously very good. Did you have similar emotions after Game 3 in this one?
이제 이전에 플레이어 트리뷴이라는 곳에서 인터뷰했을 때 본인이 화나면 더욱더 경기를 잘 나온다라고 이제 언급하셨었는데 세 번째 경기 이후에 다시 좀 그런 분노 모드로 경기를 하셨는지 말씀해 주세요.
좀 일단 경기가 안 풀리니까 좀 화가 나긴 했지만 뭐 그래도 어쩌겠어요. 그냥 좀 5경기 때 그냥 좀 마음에 가다듬고 잘할 수 있었던 것 같아요.
I did get kind of mad after game 3, but I mean, I can't do much about that. But by game 5, I think it was most important that I was able to calm down once more before the game started.
Well, at the beginning of the series, you looked really calm. At the player intro, you gave an intense stare to all of the crowd, and they've been cheering your name really loudly at the end of the series and throughout the series. Is there anything that you want to say to these fans here and the SKT fans around the world?
이제 오프닝 세레머니 때 이제 매서운 째려보기를 이제 카메라한테 시전하시면서 이제 강렬한 인상을 남겼고, 경기 끝났을 때도 많은 팬분들이 이제 페이커넛을 연호하면서 많은 응원을 보내줬는데, 지금 이 인터뷰를 보고 있을 현장 팬들과 이제 많은 팬들에게 한마디 말씀해 주세요. 영어로 해주셔도 좋고요.
뭐 오늘 응원을 많이 해주셔서 정말로 감사하고, 너무 많이 응원은 하지 마세요. 다음에 또 올 거니까.
Thanks for cheering us, but don't cheer us too hard because we're going to come back anyway.
Oh. There we go, and we'll be looking forward to it. We'll also be hearing from some other members of SKT later, but first, you can lift a cup, you can do a victory lap with your teammates and celebrate all you want because you guys did it again one more time, won the Summoners Cup. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for Faker and SKT.
Three championships in 4 years. That is absolute insanity. This squad deserves all of, the compliments and being lauded with,
Yes,
exactly.
I agree with everything you said.
But let's just revel in this moment for a bit, because we really are witnessing, the birth of a dynasty here. 3 times in 4 years is nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, and when you have a look at how this team and the crispness and the discipline that they bring to Summoners Rift, I really do think that you have to be able to beat them over a 5-game series, and it's just so hard to do. First Rocks, now Samsung, not able to get it done because they're just that damn good.
Exactly. Just looking forward to the evolution of the player intros for Faker. I mean, started very gentle, smiling, waving. Then he had the tumble. He has his broccoli. Now he had the anime death stare. So I don't know what he's going to do next year.
It's all business. He knew he was going to have to fight for this one. So as you can see, we've stepped across the street to LA Live here, and we'll be breaking down today's series and announcing our World's MVP in an extended post show right after this look back at Worlds 2016.
Joey, can you give me some more slack? I can't turn my head at all.
I don't hear anything.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's good.
We lost our program audio. Yeah, at the beginning, I heard myself like 14 times. That's what threw me. All of a sudden, I was like,
Our voices aren't going to air, are they? It's like, can...
Yes, they failed. Yes, they could do better. But when they had nothing, they have shown their competitive spirit and they fought until the very end.
A little bit too low in this one. It is just he's done for one. The steal away. Yanko secures a absolutely massive outing breaks. And EDG are evaporating, and it looks like H2K will seal the deal. Your first seed from Group C.
这个机会，对一个职业选手来说就是很开心的一件事情。
This is our big shot. This is TSM's big shot.
Good flash of Felix. It still gets quick over. Three-man knockup. TSM are getting destroyed. Their hopes, their dreams, they're done. Royal and march to Chicago.
북미 팬들에게는 미안하지만 저희도 이기려고 여기 왔고.
Crown moves fast. He gets the signal. Petrifying gaze. Smoothie gets taken down. And it looks like Samsung Galaxy will be moving on.
유럽 SS팀 중에 저희밖에 안 남았는데 그래도 한 끝까지 살아남아서 유럽을 자랑스럽게 하고 싶어요.
Damage is almost enough without forgiving Sun to turn it around. Swear, get another triple. There's a quadra. H2K demolish NX.
이제부터 시작이라고 생각하고 있어요.
He hops over the minions, sidesteps the deadly flourish. MLXG is looking for the kill. Sonic Wave connects, resonating strike. Duke might just survive. Mega Man's going up. The boomerang, the excitement, the hyper. Duke survives. SK Telecom advance to the semi-final at World. He is still chasing on the Deft, who's nearly out of HP. The chase in for Brave. First blood. That's two for Peanut. It might be a third. It's going to be the rematch of Worlds last year. Rocks hoping to get revenge on SK Telecom T1, hoping to win a World Championship.
눈앞에 결승이 있다 보니까 결승까지 가고 싶어요.
No flash. Oh, never mind. We got more action. Ryu's in so much trouble. Pounce is flashed away from, but Ambition gets one. Diddley Sugar for running and now Ryu has the summoner. Ryu's dead, no doubts about it. Number one, you gave Crown Victor. And Ambition, he's got something to prove. A 3-0 sweep of Europe's H2K will send Samsung Galaxy to the World Final.
크립토나잇 그런 정도까지는 솔직히 느끼지 않고요. 충분히 이길 수 있는 상대라고 항상 생각해왔고 지금도 그렇게 생각하고 있어요.
Rux doesn't actually have to stop pushing right now. They can delay the recall. With Ashes, gonna get teleport. He's gonna stop Duke. He stopped Duke. They're trying to burn it down. Is this not gonna be enough? Rux Tigers answer back with game 2. There's the harpoon. There's the chase down, and Gorilla's gonna make it rain. In the full time, and it's gonna be all the damage he needs. Gorilla getting the kill. Rux Tigers 1 game away from breaking the curse.
How has Benki been able to train as Nidalee? He's not known as a Nidalee player. They're confident first picking it in what could be an elimination game in Worlds.
They're going for Kuro. Double bomb on a Kuro. Javel's going to land this time, and he's going to get the damage. Yes, he is. First blood in for Faker. He's out. The blast of Kuro, the stun of Faker, not going to matter. Benki! And Benki again.
SKT fight their way back in the elimination game. Benki subs back, and he saves SKT. Now we're going to game 5.
2 Korean heavyweights in the fight of the Millennium.
제가 스맵 선수한테 1등 자리를 뺏겨서 아쉬움이 많이 컸고 이번 월드 챔피언십에서 다시 1등을 하자라는 생각을 많이 했고.
But they do see Faker, and the cocoon's not going to land though, so can they get anything else? The flash chase, it's Smith onto his face, looking for a little bit more, and he's not going to go down. Faker, with just the ghost, gets away with it. It's all that she wrote for this one. SK Telecom T1, backs against the wall. Benki himself, 3-0 against Rux Tigers in the series, and SKT punched their ticket to their 3rd World Final. Hello, Staples Center!
We don't really know what to expect from this Samsung team. Yes, they crushed the bracket stage, but they haven't played a team as close to as good as SKT here. Might have some kill threat.
Flash is still getting got the last tick. He's on ground. Solo kills Faker. Sidesteps away. Bengi's running in.
And that's the type of defeat you don't want to have if you're Samsung, because this is the momentum building of SKT's War Machine.
It looks like Samsung are coming back. They've killed Faker, found Bengi, and moving on to Duke.
And he's killed.
Take that Ambition! Ambition steals the Elder Dragon. Very good tidal wave. He's found 3. Charges up the Maelstrom. The slingshot. Faker's down. Samsung get 3. Play the Silver Scrapes. Samsung and SKT are going to game 5. Duke flashes forward, chomps down to kill Crown. SK Telecom have got 2, make that 3 kills. SK Telecom have overcome every challenge. They are the undisputed best team in the world. The SKT reign continues. They win their 3rd World Championship.